Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the continuation of the Resident Evil 4 playthrough. That was a little bit weird, the song not playing. And of course, when I stopped playing the song, now everything seems to be going down the shitter in terms of frame rates. Is it? Actually, we'll see. We'll see. Anywho, viewers, no. Welcome back. Welcome back. What was the last stream? It was the 8th November. And today is the... It's been 2 days, yeah, pretty much. Today is the 11th. I didn't stream on the 9th or the 10th, which I did say that I'm gonna be busy for a few days, and hopefully this is gonna be I'm not gonna be that busy for the next well, it's not about not being busy, it's being needing to be organizing some stuff early in the morning, but we don't need to do that, at least for this month. Maybe I'm gonna have to do the same for next month though, or we'll see about that. We should be doing all of that in the next few weeks, but I don't think. I don't know. These guys that I'm working for, they really are not organizing stuff real well, so it's not my problem. Even though we should have been planned. There should have been a lot of plans, and actually having another set of these events that should happen. Why am I dropping frames right now? Don't tell me no. I'm just dropping frames all of a sudden. I forgot to reboot. There's something weird that's not happening here. This is something that I'm gonna look into later. Let me double check on one thing. Why am I still dropping a lot of frames? Holy hell. No. Okay, but I guess that should fix that. Yeah, I had a problem. Had a problem with the stream dropping frames, which is kind of stupid. There's a problem I'm having here. I'm gonna have to fix later. It's not crucial. It's not crucial. Let's go ahead and just start with this. Maybe check some news before we start. I did. I did learn about stupid ass Bethesda releasing Fallout 4 again. An anniversary edition. They did some changes to the game to the point that it actually ruined some mods, which is I don't think Bethesda realized that the only reason why people enjoy Fallout 4 is because of the mod. The base game is absolutely terrible. It's absolutely trash. I still haven't played it, by the way. I am planning to do so, although. It's a shit show that I might actually leave that for until much later. Nintendo will never position itself as a direct competitor to PlayStation. That's Reggie. Famous, former CEO of Nintendo of America, I believe. PlayStation 5 reached 84 million units. Eurogamer gave our creators 2 out of 5 because of AI generated voices. Cool. Sure. And with that, believe it or not, Arc Raiders sales top 4 million. So I guess that means that AI works in actually selling video games, or people don't bother with having AI in their video games, which is something that I've already knew. Did you guys buy anything for Black Friday, or planning to buy anything for Black Friday? Because I think I've already bought myself a laptop, like a replacement to my old, and I got like a really good deal, like around like $100, $100 off, which is crazy. Actually, crazy good deal. I'm checking on sales, by the way, and sales on news. Sacred 2 Remastered? Yeah, they released that game, and I think I checked on the reviews. They're terrible. Sony announced a 204 million impairment loss against Bungie due to underperforming and engagement not matching expectations. I mean, because there's a good reason for that, because Bungie sucks ass. Eurogamer regrets giving Veilguard a perfect 5 out of 5. What? They gave it 5 out of 5? Yeah, there's nothing in terms of news. Yeah, video game sucks, I guess. Video games sucks ass. Video gaming suck ass. Anyway, let's continue on with the show. Let us continue on with the show. So. Excuse me. Last time, I actually don't remember where we stopped last time. But I already got stupid ass Ashley. And I kind of forgot to recharge my controller for the past few days. I just realized that like when I came today. So maybe if I'm gonna switch to Bloodstained or whatchamacallit, or Dragon Quest later on. We might not do that. I've been playing this game for 7 hours. Holy. You've received some items from Ashley. Let's showcase this, I guess. Another Streets of Rage track? Holy. So, I did give these, I guess. Was it delete? Yes. Oh, I really ran out of ammo. Holy. Alrighty, and I'm at full health.
Oh, what a touching moment we have here.
All spoiled thanks to your interruption. Why don't you do us all a favor and leave before the audience gets pissed off?
I think the others are enjoying him.
My script, so don't get too carried away. Your biggest scene is over.
I don't ever remember being a part of your crappy script.
Well then, why don't you show me what a first
Crappy script?
is like through your own actions?
Crappy script, just like any and every How I Met Your Mother episode. I'm not a big fan, to be honest, of that show. Even though the setting seems great. Oh, she's not gonna. She didn't see the body. She's not gonna react. That's what he gets for talking trash about mob ballistics. He actually kind of didn't talk trash. There's no need to go back. Nice exploration. Gonna have to go through here. And might as well reload this. Thank you. I think we're gonna lose Ashley later. We're not gonna lose her. We're gonna go alone. For the time being, I'm not gonna go up this thing. Fancy. I have two options, I guess. It's gonna take me all the way back, which I don't care for, really. Ooh, but I do need to do that so I can... Can I go back to the... I kind of want to go back so I can get the free... whatchamacallit? The free broken butterfly. No, just chilling. Doesn't believe in ladies first. Look at these textures, dude. This guy, whoever worked on this, definitely did a phenomenal job. Is there something here? That I missed? Well, according to the map, there's indeed something that I missed. Ooh, it's over there. Ooh. Herp. Is it over? Maybe it's not over here, maybe it's over there. So I need to backtrack, I guess. Use this again. And backtrack from the other side. But the game doesn't allow me to go back there, right? Unless there's gonna be another door. So this game is allowing me to go back from there. Surprisingly, they're gonna have something interesting for me. I think that's it for the whatchamacallit, for the attaché case. I'm gonna get bigger ones. Don't think I am going to face enemies while backtracking. Oh, never mind. Oh. I tried to save you. Ashley, you dumbass. I guess I'm going to have to kill these guys. Move away before I stab them myself. Only we can see her get decapitated. I would have let her die 100 times. Ansel. Mátalo! Mátalo! I think this is where I need to go. Yes, sir. This is where I need to go, right? Maybe I need to go forward. No. I think I need to go... No, it's from here, yeah. Right. It's through here. All right. Go get it. Go get. I'm not getting the prompt. Okay, this is what I did. Piggyback. Hey, you pervert! she's not even gonna open it. Give me that shit! Give me that shit! Ooh, elegant perfume bottle. Red burp. Cash money. Look at this sexy weapon. Oh, that's not what I want to do. No, it's not what I want to do. I want to do this. I guess I'm gonna have to remove these first. Two red herbs and no green herb. Yes, sir. Now we're talking. Alright, let's backtrack. Let's backtrack and might as well beat up people? Nah, I don't need to. What? Can't leave Ashley, bro.
Follow me.
Whoop! Did she hit her head with something? What was that huge noise? Can I not feed her to the dogs? I guess not. Don't charge me back. Was nice meeting you, gentlemen, but it's time for me to go. Yeah.
Got some rare things on sale. What are you buying?
All right. What can we do with this? Probably gonna have to increase the firing power for this gun, for this baby. Firepower of standard handgun is equivalent to 1.
Is that all, stranger? Is that all? Thank you.
Wait, that's it? That's the maximum? I thought you could... Okay, I guess not. Well, I guess I do need reloading speed here.
Is that all, stranger?
That's
Thank
it?
you.
Oh, I'll take that, I guess. Not gonna increase the capacity. Shotgun. I'm gonna roll with the regular Danny.
Wait here.
What does she look, you know? She has an extra chromosome. Well, I guess I'm gonna go along. I went all the way to get her to just leave her alone here? Alright, sure. Gonna have to go through here, I guess. Any treasures that I can get here? There is a treasure. Damn, this guy looks metal. Whoa! Do I want to pick that up? The answer is yes, I guess. Should I be taking out that thing? Missed my suplex chance. Ah! And another one. This guy got cooked. This guy got cooked as well. Why are they giving me a lot of healing items all of a sudden? Alright, I guess you get a reward for every kill you get here. This guy's not dead. Oh, you cannot stun him with a knife. Okay. Okay, I'm stuck without without any bullets. So that's kind of problematic. Can you please give me something in return? Or am I gonna have to go to the merchant to increase the capacity? Am I gonna have to switch to the shotgun? Failed the speedrun strats, I guess. What was the point of that? Huh. Thought we were gonna fight like a certain boss fight over here. But I might have been misremembering stuff. Can go back and grab that. Nah, no need. Oh, never mind. This is not where I need to go. Can I skip this? I cannot. Alright, continuing on. I think I have everything. Still not complete. The lion looks, looks weird. You know, whenever I see a chimera, I always remember, Dragon's Dogma. Man, I heard Dragon's Dogma 2 was not very great. Like, people are complaining about it. Which is weird. Which is also a shame, since the guy that made it no longer works for Capcom anymore. What an absolute shame. Yeah, that's really not what I need at the moment. This is where we met Salazar, I guess. No thanks, bro. I'm not your bro. I'm not your bro. Oh. Another ride. Yeah, that's really not what I need at the moment. Video game. Dynamic difficulty. Where is this gonna take us? Towards here. Thank you. Only 10 though. Guy looks bored, out of his mind. Well, maybe because doesn't know what to do with all this money. He needs bullets. Has a lot of money, and he can't buy any. Just like me. Interesting. Look at all these. This guy worked on this. For free, too. There is some guy, I think he's Spanish, from Spain, worked on all of this for free, and without getting anything in return. Can you believe that, viewers? Alright, this might actually be some sort of a puzzle here. I'm not gonna be able to open this from here. Is it really that simple? It is really that simple.
Wait. Follow me.
All right, let's go.
I think you've lived long enough.
Oh.
Let's see if you can survive this time.
Ah. Nice. Good thing that I have bullets in here. No thanks, bro. Oh, there's a lot of blood in here. Uh-oh.
¡Mátalo! No dejas que escape de la isla vivo.
Ah, yes, sniper rifle. That's exactly what I actually need at the moment. Bullets for a gun that I do not own. Oh, she's dead? Okay. I guess I was too late. Oh. The bullets in here. Didn't notice that. Oh, I guess that explains the blood I get. Well, Ashley wasn't their first victim, I guess.
¡Mátalo!
Mátalo!
No dejas que escape de la...
Move it, sister! Chess piece. I do remember that I actually have to complete this one with some other pieces. Holy Grail. Yeah. Is this where we need to go? Sir. I like the, ooh. I like the, sound of the steps in here. Queen's Grail, and then the King's Grail. Look at all of this. Here's look at all of this. That is crazy. Flash Granata. I'll need that. How many bullets do I have right now? 17. That's not a lot. I definitely need more. I need more power.
Welcome.
Kinda don't wanna
Got some rare things on sale. What are you
Go
buying?
for these. Nah. Don't need the capacity. You're not gonna sell me anything new, right? Can't sell you stuff that I'm not gonna need. Try these for the moment.
Is that all, stranger? Is that all, stranger? Thank you.
Seems to be selling for a lot of money.
Come
Welcome back, editor. Sure. Let's leave it. Let's leave this here for now, viewers. For Resident Evil 4, might come back to it later. Let's go and switch to Bloodstained, shall we? Yarada. Yeah, yeah, yarada. Na 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 na. Ta 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 da da da. Sure. I guess we're gonna have to go with this title. Is the sequel gonna be called The Ritual of the Night too? Just like that? Huh. Interesting. What a weird name for a track, by the way. Geese's track is called Soy Sauce for Geese. For Geese Howard. Yeah. Let me go grab the controller. I am going to make dinner. Maybe I don't know, in a few. It's already 9. Holy, it's already 9. I might actually start making dinner right now, to be honest. Must start making dinner right now. Today was really tiring, by the way. Well, past few days, actually. So I'll be able to sleep well tonight. Tomorrow's gonna be there's gonna be a little, well, I'm not gonna say a lot of work. There's gonna be important work though that I need to do. So then I'll be able to finish all of that, like at least before noon. I guess might as well. Yeah, let's go ahead and watch something while I actually cook my meal, my dinner. Shall we? Shall we? I have to do that, do this. Right.
Yeah, neither do I. So let's dive in. Dynasty. I mean, we both know that that's not the case, but hey, you got anything better to do? Yeah, neither do I. So let's dive in. I first started out with what seems to be the progenitor to all this, the original Outbreak. A game that had my interest at first, but as I started it, I quickly got the feeling that it was made with multiplayer more in mind than survival horror. And in the game's defense, once I was able to navigate the incredibly unintuitive menus to actually get a single-player campaign going, it did sort of kind of resemble a survival horror game if you looked at it the right way. To be totally honest though, I think I played Newgrounds era Flash titles that handled the genre just about as well. This was a game that I didn't exactly hate, but its awkward controls, RPG Maker sort of look, and lack of anything that really grabbed me made me quit out as soon as I died first. Now maybe it's a different story when you've got a few friends to
Hello? Why is it buffering? Like I'm not even dropping frames here. Maybe it's
survival horror. And in the game's defense, once I was able to navigate the incredibly unintuitive menus to actually get a single-player campaign going, it did sort of kind of resemble a survival horror game if you looked at it the right way. To be totally honest though, I think I played Newgrounds era Flash titles that handled the genre just about as well. This was a game that I didn't exactly hate, but its awkward controls, RPG Maker sort of look, and lack of anything that really grabbed me made me quit out as soon as I died first. Now maybe it's a different story when you've got a few friends together for one of its multiplayer scenarios, but as far as I'm concerned, there just wasn't enough here to keep me playing apart from a kind of cool looking flashlight effect.
Thank goodness. You're awake. We could really use some help.
Continuing down the rabbit hole that is Dead Drop Studios' library, I found an almost yearly release roster, all of which seemingly get built off of a shared pool of ideas and assets. After the first Outbreak came Outbreak the New Nightmare, which kept the multiplayer focus of the original top-down entry, so I decided to skip that one, which led me to Outbreak Nightmare Chronicles, something that looked more like it was up my alley, but also smelled to me like an absolute mess going purely off the game's trailer. I mean, these guys were definitely headed in the right direction, but I was looking for something at least on par with what I'd seen in Dino Break, so I skipped over 2 more co-op entries in the series and arrived at Outbreak Contagious Memories, the game that preceded the aforementioned dinosaur title. And in a twist I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by, Dino Break was essentially an asset flip of this game. The environments, dumb AI voice acting, controls, inventory, everything. Only now the combat works even worse, if you can imagine that, because the fire speed's been reduced to an annoying degree. I will say that once again, the music is pretty okay here, and I did see the beginnings of a project that halfway knew what it wanted to be, but with all due respect for the developers, they just did not have it in them to deliver a polished enough product for me to want to play past my first death. Once again. So I guess
Wow.
thanks for joining me down what started as a game review but then turned into an entire developer deep dive. It probably goes without saying, but I cannot recommend any of the games I looked at here in this section. Like I touched on before, there is a spark of survival horror somewhere inside these titles, but it just isn't able to shine bright enough to distract me from the either low budget, lack of game dev experience, or both. Zero Below the Sun is, well, it's a few different things. Its developer Black Curtain Studios calls it an action-adventure game in the Steam tags, but its description leans more on the words survival and horror. And listen, we've all heard me piss and moan on that subject enough for several lifetimes, so why don't we just
Piss and moan?
modern survival horror.
Well, that's an
That being
expression.
said, like I mentioned seconds ago, this is a multivariate subject. With a cursory look at some gameplay, you might, like me, assume that the devs were aiming squarely for RE4 when they made it a third-person shooter with a just barely over-the-shoulder perspective, but I would argue it feels more like 2005's often slept-on Cold Fear more than anything. Mostly
Cold
due to the
Fear
fact
is
that you
slept
can
on?
actually
I
move the camera
don't
without
think
moving
so.
the character.
I did try
Even
Cold
wondering
Fear,
if
by the way,
there's a
viewers.
fear into Capcom's
I don't think it's that's good.
Outside of the spiritual inspirations for its gameplay, though, I would say CBS feels pretty damn close to fellow PS2 horror shooter Extermination when it comes to story and setting. At the start of the game, we're not really told very much, just that we're in Antarctica, there's been some kind of an emergency, and we're in the
Nope,
shoes of
just
a
like
man
Cold
so
Fear. I
red
think
he
Cold
not
Fear,
only
you're
wears the
stuck in a
sunglasses
ship
inside, but
heading
he
to
also manages
to
make the
Antarctica.
scarf look
But
cool. As we wander
but
around
I
this
didn't
place,
really
we
play that
come
much
across
of it.
yet another inspiration, as there's not a chance in hell this game's enemies weren't inspired by the Sega Saturn's own Resident Evil clone, Deep Fear. After coming across a research
Oh, I
scientist
played
who
that.
isn't suddenly sprouting new appendages, our man Axel learns that this base was built at the crash site of a meteor, and its purpose is to experiment on a subject they found in the area that appears to be some kind of a virus, but is actually a hive-minded organism. As we catch up on some world-building written logs, we discover
Thanks for
that
explaining
someone was
the story,
pushing for
by the way.
results, which led to sloppy work and eventually an outbreak. At the moment, the only thing we know for sure is that this stuff could decimate the planet if it were to get out, and it prefers cold temperatures, which suggests the opposite might kill it. So our goal is to trek around the research base, overriding generators so they go into overdrive, hopefully killing the alien substance. In terms of gameplay, I'd say things do tend to teeter-totter on the edge of jank, but luckily it's the kind of jank that doesn't get in the way of enjoying the game, annoying though it may be. I mean, there's nothing here that breaks the shooting or the difficulty, mostly just awkward hitboxes that, more often than I would like, lead to bullets traveling straight through bad guys with zero damage. At first, you start out with a pistol with no real reticle, which is absolutely no fun, but eventually you're introduced to these mod discs that can be slotted into what I assume are computers at save points and allow you to mess around with accessories for your arsenal. The first one you get is the expected laser sight for your sidearm, and I found that depending on the distance or angle of your shot, it actually indicates a little high compared to where your bullet's actually going to go. These rat things here in particular were almost impossible to hit until I figured out I needed to aim a bit behind them to score a kill. Aside from that, there were a few of the kind of bugs you might expect with a low to no budget indie game. Things like action indicators staying around long after you've left the thing they're trying to get you to interact with, leading to these far-off specks of font visible even when you go down several floors. Then there's a pretty interesting glitch that has enemies locking up and staying put if you get them too close to a door that's closing. Like I said before, it's nothing game-breaking, but just the kind of stuff that makes for a good laugh and the occasional cheap hit. And on that note, the game gives you a dodge roll, which genuinely comes in handy not just in tight-spaced combat, but also when you're doing your best to avoid a fight so you can conserve ammo. You know, interestingly, I started off my experience with Zero Below the Sun by playing its demo and figuring that would be enough to get an idea for whether or not I'd recommend it, but I ended up liking it so much that I bought the full game and started playing through that. And I'm really happy that I did, because the finished product is not only a little prettier in ways only a dork like me would notice, but it's also much more harsh on your limited resources. Even though I had acquired a nice arsenal of guns throughout the game, I kept running out of ammo for one and being forced to switch to another, which is a very nice thing to see in a game donning the cloak of survival horror. On that note, I'm glad to say there are puzzles to solve here, the mechanical ones and the ones that'll require you to pay attention to both
Puzzles
your
are
environment and
plenty.
the notes you're reading. It's all surprisingly competent for a game that, for a game that looks like this. Which, by the way, is another positive as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I may give lip service to the idea that the low-poly PS1 era look is a little old hat at this point, but you really have to respect a team for sticking to the aesthetic this well. With the awkward shape of the character models and the low-detail textures, I could be tricked into believing this was some kind of an unreleased demo for a PS1 title forced to run in widescreen. And say what you will, but you're just not going to convince me that there's anything in this world better looking than 16:9 dithering. I do have a few.
I really do not like dithering effects
A very accurate and
at all.
look. Still thought it would be a good idea to include really high-res assets like weapon icons, fonts, and the save menu. I'm really asking here. Am I crazy for wishing they kept the look consistent?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, you're crazy.
Flash is way too hard for me, and even when they do decide to go with low-resolution assets for the game's font, it has scaling errors and some kind of bilinear filter. Now, to be fair, there might be a chance this was intentional. Like maybe the developer was chasing a PS1 by way of sloppy emulation kind of approach, but you couldn't have just used a sprite sheet and the nearest neighbor scale. I'm not trying to sound like I'm yelling at these guys specifically, but this is an issue I see all over the place in these low-poly PS1 adjacent games, and it seems so obviously wrong every time I see it. That being said, though, I still think this game looks great. It sticks to the kind of limitations you actually might see on mid-90s 3D gaming hardware, and since that's when I grew up, I'm never going to be able to see that approach as anything but insanely cool, especially when it's pulled off.
And another person making me feel old.
It would be nice if someone would tell indie devs that they
The first gaming console that I had, viewers, was the Atari 2600.
to get this point across. As I put a few hours into
I went through all of them.
including my time with the
Through all the
it's so fun that
consoles.
I'm probably going to end up beating it before
I mean, there are
release.
people that were alive in the 70s, and they definitely did witness the very, very beginning of video games in its lackluster form.
Of retro visual nostalgia and familiar survival horror game design. The setting isn't exactly what I would call original, but it's still cool as hell. Pun intended.
Well, I think the best form in that era is definitely the text-based adventures.
With the kind of soundtrack you would expect
I can understand that these were at least great.
You've got something that plays and works much better than its presentation might initially have you thinking. I think Zero Below the Sun's regular price came out to 10 or 12 bucks, and I would say that's more than a good enough deal for me to give it a really stern recommendation. Definitely check this one out.
Okay.
Oh God, did you run over an animal?
Let me go check.
While it is a bit of a bad habit, I do tend to judge books by their cover when deciding to include new survival horror projects.
That's not a bad habit.
Something you think I would have stopped doing by now, as I'm so often surprised by what people can accomplish with not much more than a cursory knowledge of game development and a love for this genre. I say all this because I can admit that the
Who told
hotel
you that's a bad
didn't
habit?
exactly give me the best vibes when checking out its Steam page. I can't
It's not
really
a bad
say what
habit.
it is. I mean, I did end up buying the full game, but maybe it was a lack of any flashy, eye-catching logos or game art, but whatever the culprit, I can fully admit I was way off base there. When first booting the game up, you can't even take part in the main campaign until you've completed this tutorial that'll give you the basics on survival horror gameplay. Something I think is actually really great for newcomers, but maybe it should be optional for those of us who already know this style inside and out. When the game proper starts up, though, I was met with something you don't really see too often in these indie survival horror titles. A pre-rendered cutscene. Now, it's obviously just a
Really?
render of in-engine assets, but for whatever reason, you really don't see a lot of developers doing this in the scene. Something that's actually made all the more impressive when you take into account that this project was a one-man affair. Anyways, the story starts with our main character hoofing it with a few zombies in tow until he reaches a phone and threatens to kill somebody, which is a relatively normal weeknight for a Floridian, honestly.
I'm coming to kill you.
Then we're taken to the true beginning of the story, where our main character and his girlfriend are enjoying their experience as some kind of hotel reviewers.
Haha.
Career I didn't really
Make
know
fun of Fred
existed, but
States.
Sounds
Haha.
plausible enough, right? Our female companion says she's tired of all the hustle and bustle of the luxury hotels they've been staying at, so they instead book some time at a more remote location. On the way there, they smear a marginalized member of the living impaired, but since they can't seem to find any evidence of it actually happening, they go about their business and just arrive at the hotel like everything's fine. And they're not even there for 5 minutes before the woman who greeted them puts the boots to our guy Alex.
What are you doing?
Don't resist. It's worse.
When he wakes up, it turns into a Saw sort of scenario where she set the hotel up as a giant puzzle box and wants to watch Alex work his way through it in order to find his missing partner. Now, I'll be up front here. I'm not really that big of a fan of this kind of setup, but that's more of a personal thing. I will say, though, it does make for a much better explanation for all the locked doors and...
Gotta be honest with you, viewers, none of these games look...
And he's stuck in there with a ton of zombies. That's probably important to include.
These games don't look that hot.
And again, I'm really impressed by the kind of hustle this guy's showing by including intermittent story cutscenes here. I don't really know how to describe it other than these pre-renders give the game a nice air of polish, sort of like it's a title with a much larger budget than it actually has. Moving beyond that, though, we've got what I would call a very strict adherence to the original Resident Evil style of survival horror, which means tank controls, a limited inventory, item management, universal storage lockers, and of course, quick turns and static camera angles. And if
Nice.
you guys know me, you're gonna know that besides a chainsaw, this is one of the quickest and most efficient ways to my heart. I will say, though, there is something slightly off with the movement. It kind of feels like my inputs stick. Like when I take my thumb off of a direction, Alex will keep turning or running in that way for a few more steps, which can make navigation a little more unreliable than I'd normally like. Besides
Momentum
that,
mechanic?
combat feels really familiar, and I have to say the takedown animations for when you break a zombie grab are actually really cool. Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to convince me that RE2 wouldn't have been a much improved game if Leon was able to clinch a zombie up and deliver a few hard knees to his forehead.
Which RE2? The original or the remake? Because God knows the remake
Headbutting a member of the Walking Dead
needs a lot of
in
improvement.
fights might not be the best move to pull, but that's just me. Exploration, on the other hand, seems to be where the hotel really shines. The environment does a great job of slowly revealing itself through key hunting and puzzle solving. I did kind of have an issue early on, not knowing that this power cable was actually meant for this computer in the office, but looking back at my footage, that was my fault as I mashed through an examination that told me exactly that. Really though, I found myself most impressed by the layout of rooms and how organic it felt to come across an item and almost immediately be able to recall where you saw some kind of thing you could use it on. Some of the puzzles did require a little more outside-the-box thinking than I'm typically used to, but that just meant I felt more accomplished when I was able to tackle all these challenges without any kind of a guide. If I did have one big criticism, it would be that handgun ammo only stacks to 15 rounds, and you're going to be coming across a lot of that stuff. So if you follow the tenets of survival horror, you're going to have to run back to an item locker kind of often, but like you would expect, as the playfield widens, fast access to one of these things becomes more and more available. As far as the music is concerned, I would say it's really appropriate stuff for the kind of game this is and the kind of setting it has, but nothing really stood out to me as being particularly ear-catching, which isn't to say that it's bad, but that it performs its job just about as well as you could hope. On the presentation side of things, I can say I'm mostly liking what I'm seeing. The game does sort of suffer from the all-too-common issue in indie games of things being a little too shiny, but Alex looks pretty cool, and I like that as you come across weapons, you'll see them strapped to his body and in holsters even when they're not equipped. I'd say the zombies look relatively good from the mostly far-off distances you'll be viewing them from, and their animations are a step above a lot of similar-looking survival horror games. They move in and out of animations fluidly, with the only exception really being the zombies on the ground spinning in circles to face you, which is funny, so I give it a pass. Overall, I gotta say, I'm very impressed with what we have here. The hotel didn't immediately strike me as a high-quality survival horror title, judging purely by its online presence. But when I gave it a chance, it surprised the hell out of me by showcasing a very firm understanding of what makes games like this so good and having a very respectful eye for mostly bug-free game design. That being said, I did run into a few issues. The first and admittedly least important is dialogue that can sound a little stilted.
Are you crazy? What do you want? No!
I'll treat you like the whore you are.
I get the feeling that it was
What?
written by someone who doesn't speak English at a native level, and the voice actors probably didn't get a whole lot of direction with their lines, but as I've said a million times on this channel, that is sort of an included hallmark of this genre. Beyond that, after dying for the first time, my controller's input stopped being read, and I had to restart the game to fix it. Once I did that, I attempted to skip a cutscene I had already seen, but that locked the game up, requiring yet another restart. I'd say both of these issues don't exactly impact the overall experience all that negatively, and with any kind of luck, Opala might see this segment and have this fixed before any of you guys get a chance to encounter it. Oh, and there's no real reason to mention this, but you really have to give it up to this guy for including a scene this cool. Is it believable that a hotel reviewer would possess the skill to backflip off a wall and accurately shoot while doing so? Absolutely
Hotel
not.
reviewer?
Is it badass as hell?
Well, I guess
Without
that's a
single
job.
doubt. If you guys get a chance to check it out,
That's
I'd say
someone's
the
job.
hotel is more than worth dropping a 20 on. It offers up a very familiar Resident Evil like
I think it's I don't think he's a hotel reviewer, more so a journalist. Because, you know.
Wall and shooting stuff.
But I guess you can call it journalism.
He's already dead?
But maybe not.
Oh, this isn't like that time in B-Tutor, is it? But what about all those murders on the telly? What if someone crazy comes to kill him?
I want to start this one off
Australian.
with praise. I genuinely think this project has potential. Normally, I don't get into joke games, but Loggerhead by Affordable Cat actually got a few laughs out of me. I will admit that as an American, I am sort of genetically programmed to find the Australian accent inherently funny, so that might be accounting for a lot, but there's some good humor in here. In that same vein, I normally don't enjoy the whole damaged VHS aesthetic, and I'll admit I'm not the biggest fan of the constant bad tracking static on the bottom of the screen, but the game honestly does a pretty good job at the whole 80s horror look, and the soundtrack absolutely slaps. I'll also say that these are some damn fine fixed camera angles, and I love that the camera bobs and moves kind of like someone's actually holding it. And finally, big shout out for the posters of Jack Carlson all over the place. Rest in peace, sweet prince. May you forever dine on succulent Chinese meals.
Get your hand off my penis!
Now, as you may imagine, I'm front-loading all of the praise.
I think that guy
With all
passed
due
away,
respect
by the
to
way.
Nice person who gave me the key to this
Passed away
game,
not too long
outside
ago.
of those points, I think this demo just barely counts as a working video game. At first, I tried using a controller, but only the analog stick was supported, which feels terrible with tank controls, and even worse with Loggerhead's tank controls, so eventually I switched to a mouse and keyboard, which is miles better by comparison. If you do plan on playing with a controller though, be prepared for some of the most odd button mapping imaginable, as you'll be hitting X on a PS5 controller to examine or pick items up, and square to confirm menu selections. So for example, to pick up this gun, I need to hit X to open up a prompt and square to confirm it, which really messes my brain up. Regardless of your control option though, you're not going to have a quick turn, and I can assure you it is sorely needed here. I'd say the combat is okay enough for what it is, but shooting feels really nasty because it's so damn easy to miss enemies, and the camera angles don't exactly help with that issue. And speaking of which, early on I found out that the game's enemies can't actually be killed, only downed for less than, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 seconds, which makes the idea of giving me a revolver and a shotgun with limited ammo kind of strange. I mean, do you or don't you want me engaging in combat here? Even
I mean, you do
stranger
have
than
a
that
huge
is the fact that
space.
I can be attacked during door transitions or when menu elements are on screen, both being
Oh
signs
no,
that
that's
I have no
Signatus all
control
over
my
again?
character. Then there's the hilarity of reloading in the menu, then exiting to find your character gliding through the environment until that animation is finished. Oh, and it's never a good sign when item pickup prompts can overlap other 2D assets like text files, and that's compounded by those prompts sticking around way too long. I will admit though, the game started to win me back when I got in my car, and it gave me the chance to run these monsters over as I sped away, and the end of the demo is actually really cool, although the effect is somewhat stifled by this physics glitch happening just before the credits roll. Honestly, the entire Australian 80s slasher flick premise works really well for me on paper, and there is evidence here that the developers understand how to make it work as a theme, but on the technical side of things, Loggerhead is just an absolute mess. I genuinely hope that there's some serious work being done under the hood as I speak these words, because it would really be killer to see a finished version of this game that feels, well, finished. As of right now, though, it's more like a series of bugs, some funny and most not, that you have to suffer through while glimpsing the idea of a good
Most
video
not,
game
huh?
just off in the distance. Well guys, we have officially closed the book on yet another collection of modern Resident Evil clones. Today's list is probably the most polarized I've ever come across, as these are some of the most and least polished titles I've played since starting this whole thing. Hopefully a few of you found something here that you never heard of before, but if not, I wouldn't worry too much. The amount of high quality new survival horror titles in the works is showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon, so expect another video jam-packed with killer stuff very soon. But until then, as usual, I'm Jared.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And this is Avalanche Reviews. Hey people, thank you very much for sticking around. I'm
Hey
hoping it's my
people.
entertaining style that kept you here and not my
You're not Seth.
But either way, I'll have links to my support platforms in the description. If you do want more videos like this, be the change you want to see in the world and join up. I don't really know what else I could say here, so I guess stay awesome and keep up that great work. I'm sure you're all
I mean,
doing.
don't say hey people. Let's watch another video. He reviewed Silent Hill F. Every Fatal Frame, I don't think I'm gonna. Oh, I totally forgot that this movie exists. Resident Evil mods? We might as well, right? Remasters and remakes are actually great? Sure. We can watch this, I guess.
You ever had this problem? You're looking to play a classic RE game, but you literally just got done playing all the classic RE games. You want something familiar, but something different too. Well, in these trying times, the only thing you can really count on is the ingenuity and hyper-focused efforts of survival horror megafans. AKA, we are rounding up.
Chicken starting to smell really good, viewers.
Only mess with the less alteration and more restoration-oriented mods like the Seamless HD Project or Classic Rebirth. But today, I'm breaking with that habit, and we are taking a look at nearly every single RE mod available, with only a few exceptions. Simple outfit changes or play as X character mods don't really interest me very much, and outside of that, they don't really require much explanation on my end, so you're not going to see many of those, but I can assure you we aren't hurting for entries in this list without them. So strap in, because you are about to get a face full of Resident Evil modifications. From PC to real hardware, we're jumping headfirst down one hell of a deep rabbit hole. Ladies, gentlemen, I'm Jared from Avalanche Reviews. Welcome to the Resident Evil Retrospective.
Rip. I thought that was a mod retrospective.
And brightly starting this list off, we've got a series of mods that try their damnedest not to modify much at all. Classic Rebirth is an amazing restoration project, the goal being to get the previously released Japan-only PC ports of REs 1, 2, and 3 working on modern computers. And really, that's about it. Instead of altering the games or repackaging them, Classic Rebirth just allows them to run and look exactly how they would have if 16-core CPUs, standardized USB controllers, and 4K display resolutions were available when they were developed. If you're looking for the absolute most accurate Resident Evil experience on PC, this is your one and only stop. But it's not just the accuracy that earns this project top billing on this video. Classic Rebirth is so instrumental in the entire existence of modern RE modding that just about every single mod we'll be looking at moving forward is going to require it to work. It really can't be understated how awesome it is to see someone so interested in allowing people access to these amazing PC ports, but holding back in terms of trying to quote-unquote improve the experience. All the work done here was to just let the port's limitations get out of your way so you could play them exactly how they existed when they were released. It's definitely a mindset that should be celebrated, but that's enough doting. Let's jump into what you can expect from each instance of this mod.
Here's my radio. You should keep it. I'm...
Resident Evil 1 was released for Windows 95 equipped PCs first in Japan by NEC in 1996, but a year later we Americans would see a port handled directly by Capcom, and really neither matter as far as Classic Rebirth goes. And that's because it uses a Japan-only version of the game released 2 years later, meant to take better advantage of Windows 98. We like to call this the MediaKite release after the team that ported it, but you can also find it under the title Ultra 2000. Just like every Classic Rebirth release, the process of modding this game could not be easier. The most complex part is going to be sourcing your own disk image or real disk of the game, but I imagine the Internet Archive can help you out with the first part of that. Once you've got the image, just mount it, drag over its contents to a folder on your PC, and drop the classicrebirth.dll file into the root of that folder, and that is literally it. You're already set to go.
What is that background, dude?
You need to grab an updated version of the EXE, but that can be found on the same site that you got the CRDLL from, so this really couldn't be a more user-friendly affair. After you've done that, you can open the game now and find that Classic Rebirth includes a nifty little launcher which will let you change display options, map your buttons, and tweak some new additions that adds a little future RE functionality to the older games. You know, stuff like quick turning or reloading outside of the inventory using R1 and cancel. Oh, and I probably should have mentioned this before, but CR also translates the Japanese text in the game, so no worries there, although there is a toggle to disable that. Keeping with the whole accuracy thing, Classic Rebirth only utilizes 4:3 resolutions, and even though they stop just before 4K, setting it to full screen and then letting your GPU scale it the rest of the way to your desktop resolution still results in an amazing picture. There are other graphics options, but honestly, not even 1% of the people who would want to play this game are going to need to change any of these. They're basically just for insane people like myself. Speaking of which, there is a bilinear texture filtering option, and I would personally recommend you leave that off. The overly smooth effect this has on the game's 3D models is kinda nasty looking in my opinion. On the plus side,
I disagree.
In-game using F7, so feel free to try it out and see what you think on the fly. And really that's it. After you choose a resolution and rebind your controls, you're in. But there are some of you who might want to roll up your sleeves and do just a little more work before starting this game up proper. The MediaKite version of RE1 included some notoriously nasty FMVs. Not only were they pretty low res even for the time, but for some reason I truly can't understand, they were encoded at 10 entire frames per second, and you can really tell. My best guess for this probably has something to do with the fact that they were just packed onto the disk as AVI files instead of being compressed and decompressed on the fly like they are in the PS1 or most PC games. I mean, this is a single 700 megabyte CD we're talking about. Either way though, there is a fix. The RE1 Classic Rebirth High Quality Video Pack is quite literally exactly what its name says it is. Just download the pack, drag its contents to the root of your RE1 install, and start the game up. These new video files double the vertical resolution of the originals to a mind-altering 640 by 480 and run at a frame rate that luckily won't cause rapid eyeball bleeding. They are a bit darker than the originals, which is a downside, but at the very least I don't have to watch and be aware of each solitary frame being drawn to the screen in real time. But alright, you've got all the prep work done, so once you've got those plopped down, you are ready to play yourself some RE1 on PC, and it is amazing.
You saved me!
Yeah.
Of course, these are still the exact same backgrounds and 2D assets from the PS1 original, so do set your expectations accordingly, but I would say this looks incredible. This being the PC port of RE1, we do get to skip door animations, and that's great. Maybe not for the person playing the game for the first time, but if you're on your 1000th playthrough, it's pretty damn well appreciated. Like I said before, there are toggles for gameplay features found in later RE titles, like being able to quick turn and reloading with the cancel button. Two very small additions that go a long way in updating RE1's gameplay and general feel. But if you feel like that gets in the way of how the game was meant to be played, you can always toggle them off. Other than that though, this is just flat out RE1. I won't go into the myriad of differences between this port and the PS1 original, but I have made a video on that exact subject if you're interested. In fact, I've made one for each game Classic Rebirth supports, so check those out if you're looking for more specific info. But we have a lot to cover, so what do you say we move on to the next one?
You really need to go through all of the games?
This pretty easy because it's basically the same story as RE1. Just head to the classic.
This is my favorite Resident Evil game, by the way.
DLL and throw it into
Resident Evil 2.
folder containing all the crap that came on the install disk. I'm happy to say this mod does not use the god-awful 1999 Platinum PC port, but instead the well-loved Source Next release. This Japan-only Windows 98 version of the game is sort of famous in the scene for containing uncompressed 60 frame per second FMVs, and if you haven't seen these things in action, it really is
Whoa,
amazing.
really?
I mean, the difference between this and this is almost too vast to describe with words. I've got to imagine there's some kind of interpolation going on with the Source Next FMVs because I really can't see the dev team at Capcom rendering out the originals at 60 FPS and then dropping a majority of those frames just to put them on a disc, but to be fair, I really have no idea, so that very well may be the case. Regardless of why though, let's just all be glad we have these amazing looking CG cutscenes to watch. There is a 1080p upscaled FMV pack that you could technically couple with this install if you wanted to, but with how amazing these things look as is, it really isn't worth the effort in my eyes. Getting back to the actual mod we're here to cover and not its FMVs though, we have a similar launcher.
What is this busy background, dude?
RE1. Once again, I would suggest using full screen as your resolution and that texture filtering be disabled. There's a new option letting you correct for texture warping, but since most things in the game aren't textured 3D objects, I'd wager you wouldn't really see the difference this toggle makes until you fight the alligator or maybe Birkin's blob form. We've also got a few functionality options here, and just like before, I can't really see a reason why you'd want to disable them. Configuring your controller of choice is just as easy as it was in RE1, and just like that, we are playing its sequel RE2. Really, just about the only note I can think of has to do with the Source Next port's Japan-only nature.
I remember for some reason this scene scared me.
Across the pond. More enemies
in Resident Evil.
Places, and to compensate for that, they added a bunch of hidden pickups.
Like, it was just too weird.
Handgun ammo. And since the Source Next port was based on the Japanese original release of RE2 on the PS1, you're not going to find any of that stuff here. Which means the muscle memory I built up from playing this game hundreds of times in the past is going to waste a little bit. Once again, you can skip door animations, but it's not as smooth of an operation as it was on RE1. Over there, skipping transitions would have you instantaneously loading into the new area, but here in RE2, there's a bit of a wait before that process takes place. Honestly, it's not too long, and it's still way shorter than the door animations themselves, but it was enough of a difference that I felt justified in wasting both of our time mentioning it. Other than that, this is just a bog standard game of RE2, which is to say it is just one of the best video games ever made, and you're getting to play it exactly how you would back in the late 90s,
true.
only at a level of fidelity no one would have ever imagined back then. Not a bad way to spend an afternoon.
He's after STARS members. There's no escape.
Installing Classic Rebirth for RE3 is the exact same process as it was before. It uses the equally high-quality SourceNext release of the game as a base, which is killer because once again this port is world-renowned for including uncompressed 60fps FMVs, along with backgrounds rendered out at double the internal resolution found in RE2's, and in both cases that's going to be a huge thumbs up from me. Once again, we have an adorable little launcher that lets us configure things. A cool new addition is an option for favorable RNG and one that automatically skips all door transitions. Two settings that seem tailor-made for speedrunners and guys like me who are looking to record footage. As far as graphics go, full resolution is again going to be needed for 4K, but there's one really interesting toggle, and in true Avalanche Reviews fashion, it's going to require a bit of a tangent to explain. I think everyone knows that RE3 had great looking backgrounds in its initial PS1 outing, but I assume less will know that the backgrounds included in literally every other port had significantly higher render resolutions. The GameCube, Dreamcast, and PC releases all saw pre-renders that were natively 640 by 480, and I mean, just look at how gorgeous they were. We're not using AI upscalers here, at least not yet. This is just how amazing these images looked right out of the box. But if you're looking really hard, you might notice small areas where it seems like the whole high-res thing doesn't really apply. Here on the brick wall, heading up from the bottom, things look detailed and expectedly high-res, but once we get to this line, it's like the graphics go back to being rendered internally at 240p. And interestingly, that's because they are. It'll take forever to fully explain, but on the most basic level, old RE required a little more work than just importing 2D images. Mask textures were needed for things that were in front of the character and to make up for certain quirks with how these images were loaded in and out of the PS1's memory, and those mask textures are what makes these games such a pain in the ass to upscale. Because they're processed differently from the background images themselves, you can often see borders where they don't quite line up. So most devs porting RE games back in the day would just choose to leave these mask textures alone, which is why some parts of the image in RE3 look 240p and others 480p. That was a little awful, but now you have the prerequisite knowledge necessary for me to explain what this option does. It essentially just downscales the backgrounds to 240p so they align better with the mask textures, but even after all that explaining, I wouldn't really recommend using this. There's still going to be noticeable boundaries where mask textures overlap with the backgrounds, they're just both really low res now. And it also downscales 3D elements to 240p, so it's sort of a lose-lose. Personally, I stopped seeing these mask textures after a while anyways, and even if I didn't, it's not really worth missing out on how good these backgrounds look natively. Just like with RE2, you can download some upscaled FMVs, but once again, it's not really worth going through the trouble. The stock ones already look amazing, and the overly smoothed out look of AI upscaling actually kind of makes them look worse in my opinion. Where gameplay is concerned, once again, this is just the RE3 that you know and love. As far as I'm aware, there's no significant differences between the US and Japanese releases of 3, so that's nice. And that favorable RNG option is great for those not wanting to restart every time they get to the RPD and the game decides to spawn the Magnum instead of the grenade launcher. I was able to find a pretty weird glitch that had the water dripping in the alleyway outside the starting area at like 5 times speed. I'm not really sure what's causing that, but it's the only real issue I was able to find up until the train crash. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not exactly the kind of problem that's likely to bother anyone. These classic Rebirth mods are some of the best things to happen to RE games since Shinji Mikami. They give people access to Resident Evil titles in their highest fidelity, but in a way that ensures the experience is going to be accurate to the original. It's really not often you see someone do so much work to make sure it didn't look like they did much work at all. These are amazing restorations, and I can't recommend them enough. The most difficult part of playing them is going to be sourcing your own disc images for 90s PC games, but something tells me this audience is going to be able to figure that out. And hey, that's 3 mods down with about 13 to go, so what do you say we move on to another series of modifications targeting REs 1, 2, and 3, only this time with a little less of a focus on restoration and a whole lot more on renovation. As much as I prefer the original pixelated look of old 16 and 32-bit games, even I can recognize that's not exactly a mainstream position. Some people want to see these games more as they remember them after years of rose-tinted glasses, and while that's not exactly my thing, I can totally respect it. I mean, hey, we all want to see what we want to see, and the good news is the Seamless HD project has made it possible to play the first 3 mainline PS1 RE entries in genuine high definition. Taking advantage of an AI, the team behind this project have done way more than just feeding each 2D background into an upscaler and calling it a day. Remember how I was talking about RE's mask textures before? Well, it was this mod that made me aware of all that. Instead of individually upscaling each mask texture and dealing with the nightmare of getting rid of the resulting seams, they just made new ones from their already upscaled backgrounds, and the result is pretty amazing. Despite my very obvious, very vocal bias towards lower res graphics, it is really hard to deny the kind of effort that turned this into this. I mean, it's a real world of difference. Of course, you do have to have realistic expectations. 2D image upscaling is a fascinating industry, but it is still in its infancy. Honestly though, even if it wasn't, these are very
Wait, did he manage to do 180 turn?
It's a fascinating industry, but it have realistic expectations. 2D image upscaling is a fascinating industry, but
that was not possible.
Honestly though, even if it wasn't,
in Resident Evil 1, by the way. Maybe the mod actually added that.
Ones with lots of small details that need to be restored, and as it is, small details can be mangled by even the most advanced AI upscaler. So if you're looking close, you may notice distortion on stuff like written words or thin straight lines that are all close together, which can be noticeable, but certainly it's not something you'll be aware of 99% of the time you're playing. And you know, I think that's a good enough introduction for now, so let's get down in the dirt with the first RE game and the most recent addition to the Seamless HD roster. The whole Resident Evil SHD thing kicked off with the second and third entries in the series for reasons we'll cover when we get to them, but it wasn't until recently that we could see a version of the mod dedicated to RE1. The install process for this one is technically just a little more complicated than the mods we've talked about so far, but it might be the easiest thanks to a video explaining each step that you can find on the Seamless HD website. And during that install process, you're going to find out something very, very interesting about this mod, outside of the whole HD backgrounds thing. First off, it uses the MediaKite release of RE1 on the PC as its base, which is kind of expected. The classic Rebirth DLL is also necessary, but we haven't gotten to the interesting part yet. See, before installing this HD mod, you're going to have to install a different HD mod made by Team X. Once you have that, you then replace the Team X files in your install directory with the ones in the SHD download, and you're basically good to go. Before you actually start it up though, it is important to say that this is going to override the files from the original install, so if you just wanted to play Classic Rebirth, you'd still be getting the HD backgrounds. Oh, and by default, this pack is going to use the alternate backgrounds that can be found in the Director's Cut release of RE1. If you're not down with that, there is a way you can enable the originals, but if you're like me, this is kind of a bonus. The Seamless HD website recommends not going over a 960p display resolution, I assume maybe because the backgrounds were only made to be scaled to an even integer, but I forced them to 4K and played up until where the hunters showed up and really only noticed this one issue in the walkway above the dining room. Once you start the game up, some of the improvements are going to be obvious before you even get into any gameplay. Since RE1 on PC shipped with those gross-looking choppy FMVs, it was really nice seeing them get the upscaled treatment, and they've also been interpolated to 60 FPS, something I thought I would hate, but I kind of ended up falling in love with. Normally I would not enjoy the smeary look of interpolated frames, but I've seen these FMVs more than 1,000,000 times. Witnessing them move this fluidly really transforms the experience. Getting into the actual game, though, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is not the best advertisement for the Seamless HD project. All over the place, there are distorted lines, messed up details, and little issues that are gonna be noticeably off. And I think
Alrighty, viewers, we are going to watch these at a later date. Right now, we're gonna play Bloodstained, viewers. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm not gonna play for too long. By the way, because I'm feeling a little bit tired and I'm a little bit hungry. There's the controller. Alrighty. Oh, I loaded the the wrong city. We should be having this, of course. Gonna focus on not dying here. Ooh. What's this for? For a spinning axe? Okay. Okay. Ow. That did a lot of damage, actually. Go ahead and save, since I've been dying a lot here. The Bloodless boss fight was really cool. I gotta give it up. Strawberries? I got strawberries from her? Alright. Sure. Although I'm not gonna find anything here. That is, I do remember that. Weird that I didn't get stoned here. I think this is where I'm gonna meet the Wraith. Huh. Wonder if I can track to this somehow. This is the first time I've seen this. It looks like an ant. That's very cool. Huh. I would rather try and find a... Oh no. I thought this was gonna be a save point. Not gonna risk it. Oh. Okay. Hmm. I know what's gonna happen here. I wasn't born yesterday. Don't sit on that chair. Whatever you do, do not sit on that chair. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. I definitely wasted that, so... Ugh. Mm. Alrighty, viewers. I'm gonna keep it short for today. I streamed for like almost 2 hours, but I'm feeling really tired. I'm feeling really tired today, and I thought I might as well just cut it short for today. Hopefully, I'm gonna come back tomorrow with more energy. So this is gonna be it for me, viewers. For now, thank you very much for watching. And I'll check you guys in the next streaming session. Have a good one, everyone.